Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Adventures of one obsessed nutrition coach on a mission to create a world where food makes you better. So this is, guys, my vision. I'm Shurina, health, nutrition, fat loss, lifestyle coach, doing a lot of research and of course working with people and getting a lot of questions, a lot of answers, a lot of insights, and all of that makes me think about our food system all the time and read about it and get fascinated about so many things that are super interesting about how our food works in our world and in our bodies, and how our food systems are designed and how they work and how they can potentially make us better, but a lot of times these days they do not. So my personal mission is to help create food system or world where food makes you better. And every episode of this podcast is in some form dedicated to that mission, to helping create a world where food makes you better every time you eat it. The world where better for you choices are easier and more intuitive to make than choices that are not so great for you. I'm not for eliminating choice. I'm for helping you to make choice that we know gonna make your life better, be that health, be that energy levels, be that long and prosperous life. But anyhow, back to our episodes. Today, Thursday, and we're doing our deep dive into some food, or we're meeting people, we are talking to other people about some issue in food system, or something interesting and we're discussing something interesting and fascinating about some food or a group of foods. Like today we are talking about nuts and also fats. The accent today is on different kinds of fats and nutrition of nuts specifically. You might read things like, studies show that nuts are good for heart health, or studies show that, peanut butter is like the next health food. Maybe there was no such article about peanut butter, but you might hear a lot about, for example, Mediterranean diet, and that consumption of nuts might be one of the positive health aspects of that diet, why it works so well. But a lot of those studies, especially in the title, they forget to mention that different nuts, and especially how the nuts are processed, whether they're raw or roasted or sprouted, how they are kept, how are they preserved. All of that matters when it comes to what kind of health effects that nut gonna have on your body, and also what kind of nut you eat. It will be different what amount of calories you're gonna get, what amount of fiber, proteins, carbohydrates you're gonna get, of fatty acids, what different minerals you're gonna get from that nut. A lot of those articles, they do not give you that detail that actually really is important. Nuts, it's not just one kind of nut. They are all different. They come from different plants, and very often they have completely different nutrition profile. So let me, for example, look with you at a nutrition chart of some nuts. Here we have a chart from almonds, Brazil, cashews, hazelnuts, macadamia, pecan, pistachios, walnuts. And we have a few. We have the calorie count, we have fat count, we have fiber count, some minerals like potassium, calcium, some vitamins like vitamin E, and some other data. And so you look at this chart, and you can find similar charts all over the internet if you just Google something like nut nutrition comparison. And you look at the chart, and then you start to realize that nuts are completely different. calories, even calories, usually the more fat the nut has and the less fiber it has, the more calories it's gonna have. So let's take, for example, macadamia nuts. For 1 ounce, it's gonna have 204 calories. Let's take almonds, they're gonna have 163 calories, right? It's like 40 calories. And it matters, you eat an ounce, you eat 2 ounces, and it's 80 calories already. And you like gather all those small amount of calories from all over your diet. And at the end of the day, it matters a lot. And especially if you're someone who wants to lose some weight, but you don't want to be starving and be in a super big caloric deficit, those small things, they matter. Plus, the digestibility of nuts. Like, for example, if you take almonds, that's the nut that is probably the highest in fiber. And also it is proven that when it comes to calories, the actual calories that your body is able to absorb from almonds are much lower than the calories you can absorb from macadamia nuts. And so if you are someone who's watching their figure or who's trying to lose weight or lose fat, almond is probably a much better choice. It doesn't just have less calories on paper. It's also that you digest and absorb less calories from those almonds. But also, not so many articles on the internet will tell you that it also matters if you're eating raw almonds, sprouted and soaked, roasted, made into pieces, made into flour, or made into almond butter. Like, if you eat almond butter, almost all of those calories are absorbed. If you eat raw or sprouted almonds, like, sprouting already makes more calories absorbable. If you just eat plain raw almonds, like, a lot of calories will basically, be out of your body, undigested, with fiber and fats and everything. So all these details matter. So there is an article. It's actually been popularized by Kind Snacks brand, and the article that is all over the internet on many resources right now. It's about the absorbable calories from different nuts. It's actual science, it's scientifically proven, and it's all about why Kind brand now decided to lower the calories of some of their nut bars or any kind of snacks that contain nuts, because the amount of absorbable calories is not what you will find at your regular nut label. So almonds seem to be the leanest nut, but for example, you consume 25% less calories from raw almonds, less than what it usually states on all the other labels. Kind is kind of like pioneer trying to adapt better calorie counting. When it comes to, let's see what other nuts were there. So almonds, roasted almonds, already 90% compared to raw almonds. If we take cashews, the whole cashews, 16% less calories than it is right now we can find on the labels. And what other nuts? Pistachios, for example, they're probably the most absorbable nut. So it's only 5% difference between the label and what your body actually absorbs. Now, walnuts are pretty lean nuts too, 21% discrepancy between stated and actual metabolizable energy. So basically, when you buy walnuts, you absorb somewhere around 21% less calories than it states on most labels, except of course now for Kind brands, but probably a lot of other brands and nut snacks will follow, since less calories usually perceived as a better option by many people. So be ready for a label's adjustments if you're someone especially who is counting calories, because most people will not even notice if you don't count calories. So that's when it comes to calories and digestibility. Just understand that not all nuts are created equal at all, just like not any other food is created equal. You can find these days a lot of meat alternatives like plant-based or cell-based meat. But even in the realm of meat, every single piece of meat from different animals, it has completely different nutrition profile. Yeah, it is rich in proteins and there is some fats, of course, and calories are different, usually depends on the amount of fat that meat has. But also, like, for example, what kind of fats you get from different meats, be that wild game, like some animal running in the forest, or be that a cow from the farm. The nutritional composition, the fatty acids, some vitamins like vitamin E, for example, antioxidant, and some other vitamins and minerals and different compounds, they're going to be completely different from animal to animal, depending what that animal eats and what kind of lifestyle they have. Just the same as humans, depending on what you eat and what kind of lifestyle you have, that will really separate you from other people by the composition of the minerals and fatty acids you have in your body. So the animals are no different. So when somebody tells you, I don't eat meat, what kind of meat? It matters. If you eat only fish, that is considered to be, also animal protein products, it's completely different from red meat. No secret, chicken and red meat, but also like different birds, different like animals, different fish, mussels, meaning mussels, shellfish, they're completely different from sardines when it comes to nutrition, and those are completely different from trout, and those are completely different from tuna. And details matter. I just want on this podcast you to understand this. It's not just meat, it's not just fish, it's not just chicken, it's not just nuts. Those are different foods. So for example, if you are someone who is watching omega-6 fatty acids, then you need to be aware that the nut that has the least amount, for example, of omega-6 fatty acids is macadamia. It has like almost none. It has mostly fats, monounsaturated fats that are also, that olive oil and olives are rich in. When it comes to omega-6s, for example, you get a lot of them from walnuts though, even though there is some omega-3s, but you get a bunch of omega-6s. So if you're someone trying to watch your omega-6s, you're gonna get quite a lot from walnuts, for example. Other nuts somewhere like in between, but walnuts are super high. And so are pine nuts, by the way, guys. What else? Like when it comes to fiber, for example, right? The richest in fiber, not let me actually look closely at it. So dietary fiber, yeah, almond, no surprise, it's the leanest nut where you digest the least amount of calories, and it's the richest in fiber. Probably that's why fiber makes it really difficult for your body to absorb a lot of nutrients. But at the same time, almonds on paper seem to be second after pistachios when it comes to potassium, and a lot of people are deficient in potassium, and it's one of the body's major electrolyte. What is electrolyte? Look it up, but it's very important for your cellular function, for your heart health, for your blood pressure. And so pistachios are quite high in potassium, so are almonds. But that, also you gotta take into consideration that because you do not absorb 25% of almonds, you're not going to be absorbing 25% of that potassium. Whereas if you take pistachios, you're not absorbing only 5%, and they are almost like 100 milligrams richer in potassium. So you're gonna get much more from pistachios. So it's not just what it's in them, it's how much your body is actually able to absorb. When it comes to magnesium, Brazil nut is the richest in magnesium, and then other nuts have much less. Cashew is also actually quite rich in magnesium. And so again, nuts are not created equal. So if you're eating nuts for any specific person, or you have a specific dietary concern, like avoiding a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, make sure to look up the actual nutrition composition, the full nutritional profile, not what you find on the label on a pack of almonds, because they do not put all the nutritional information, but use other databases like self-nutrition data, or checkyourfood.com, amazing website for all the nutrients, and it's free. You basically search for almonds and put in raw almonds, for example, and you will get all the nutrients that that almond has, or maybe Brazil or cashews. So look them up, because again, nutrition labels for whole foods do not show you all the vitamins and minerals and everything that is in that food. They usually show only things that are required by a certain country and certain government, and what you find in US on a label is going to be different from what you find, for example, in Switzerland on the label. You know what was really funny for me yesterday? I actually went to a I always go to some food store, some supplement store, but so I stopped by one supplement store on my way and checked out some mineral supplements. And what was surprising for me is that that mineral supplement that I picked up, it said calcium on the label, and it said 700 milligram, and it said 100% of daily need, or daily requirement. 700 milligrams in US is considered to be probably like maybe 60% of your daily need. So in some countries, I guess, calcium, you need less calcium, but I can understand that because naturally water in Switzerland naturally rich in calcium. So who knows? But again, details, guys, it all matters. And the last piece of our deep dive into nuts, fats, and food facts is on butters and oils and whole foods. A lot of times especially from ketogenic community, from high fat community, I get that question that, I'm eating all these fats and I'm in ketosis constantly and I'm not losing fat, and what should I do? And I'm eating, grass-fed butter and MCT and olive oil, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times to start your weight loss going again, or to make it keep going, you just have to change your bottled and packaged fats, like oils, they're liquid, or maybe things like coconut oil that are extracted from whole foods. And you need to start eating whole foods with those fats. You're not just gonna get more nutrients, but you also will make your body work more for those fats, because if you eat, for example, coconuts instead of coconut oil, your body will have to work through a hell lot of fiber to get that coconut oil, and you're gonna consume much less calories. At the same time, you're gonna feel fuller, because when you have your more fiber in your stomach, with those naturally occurring fats, you're gonna feel fuller, because your stomach will be literally fuller of fiber that your body does not usually digest, or doesn't digest a whole lot of it, and your body extracts it and feeds your gut bacteria and does a lot of other things. So instead of drinking olive oil, because that's what it comes to for a lot of folks in keto and high fat community, so instead of consuming liquid and packaged bottled oil, start eating whole foods. So instead of avocado oil, eat avocados. Instead of olive oil, eat olives. Instead of coconut oil, eat coconuts. Instead of almond butter, eat almonds. Instead of cashew butter, eat cashews. So go whole foods. And that matters, guys, too. Just like we talked today about all these different nutrients in nuts and different foods, whether your food comes in a bottle or in a whole food package matters a lot. A lot of my clients lose weight and lose fat just by switching to entirely whole food diet without having to count anything, really. So again, instead of, for example, sometimes it's as easy as, instead of eating rice noodles, start eating whole rice. Instead of eating bread, start eating whole grains that come whole, that not a part of bread or whole wheat flour. Anything that is refined into powder, into liquid, into anything, it will give you more calories, probably less nutrients, and it will make your health worse and your weight loss, fat loss harder. So that's like a pattern that I see over and over and over again. So stick with whole foods and you'll be amazing, guys. So that's the takeaway of today. Stick to whole foods and check the proper nutritional labels, like whole nutritional database, not just what you see on a label in a supermarket. What you see on a label in a supermarket is not full information. Just be aware of that. And remember that details matter, and nuts are not just nuts, but they're almonds, Brazils, cashews, hazelnuts, macadamia, pecan, pistachio, walnuts, pili nuts. There are so many, and they're they're all different, guys. So just understand that it's not just meat. It's what kind of animal, what it was fed, where it grew up. It's not just fish, it's what kind of fish. It's all matters. So be more diligent about doing your food research, especially if you plan your meal plan for maximum health, maximum vitality, maximum energy, maximum longevity. Not just macros matter, but also those micros that make your macros work. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for staying with me through this rant about nutrition. I know that if you've been sticking with me, you're a true nutrition fan and aficionado. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Besides eating better, till next time, don't forget to share this episode with someone who can love it just as much as you do and who can improve their health, their vitality, their energy levels, the way they perform and feel daily. So share these episodes, share this podcast with someone you really love and would love to share something that you love. So share this episode with that person today. And as usual, till next time, eat better daily.